Okay, Mark, we all set? Okay, great. Okay, folks, we're going to get started. Thank you for investing some of your time with us today. You're probably here because you heard some things on one of our short videos that you've never heard before and are a bit curious about. So in the 20 minutes that we've asked for, I promise you're going to come away with new information that's critically important for anyone who's really serious about building wealth, whether you ultimately like our plan or not. So relax, nothing's being sold today. If what I share resonates with you, you'll be invited to a follow-on webinar that you can access on demand and watch at your leisure. In that webinar, we're going to lay out an alternative wealth building strategy we think will make a great deal of sense to you, but today is all about groundwork. So as I say, there will be a payoff for your 20 minutes either way. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jay Beatty. I developed the Fortune Builder Wealth Plan, and I work with Fortune Builder Wealth Advisors and their clients all over the country. The first thing you need to know about me and our strategies is that we don't follow conventional wisdom. In fact, as my favorite fortune cookie says, conventional wisdom is often neither. It's neither conventional nor is it wisdom, particularly when it comes to money and investing. So because our ideas sometimes fly in the face of what you've come to accept as fact, I'm going to ask you to approach our time with an open mind and set aside, at least for 20 minutes, what you've been taught and come to know as fact. I'll back up everything I'm going to share with you so you can verify everything on your own. I begin my book, Rigged, Unlearning Mainstream Financial Propaganda and Building Your Personal Fortune, by suggesting, unlike those in the conventional wisdom business, that we shouldn't start a money conversation by talking about how to succeed, but rather how we can fail. I know it's not as fun or sexy as talking about big investing gains, and maybe that's why most mainstreamers give it the wave by that they do. But I believe that if we know how we can fail, then we can avoid failure, and if we avoid failing, then success is that much closer to our reach. I call it thinking defense first. Some of you will remember legendary Alabama football coach Bear Bryant. Bryant once said that offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. What's true in football is true for money. So if our way means giving more attention to defense than the mainstreamers do, you'll understand why. So how can we fail? It might seem that there are virtually limitless ways to fail, but I think they can all be boiled down into what I call the 3 failure traps. We can fail to save and invest money in the first place. We can put our money into things that can go down in value, or we can die before we've secured our family's financial future. Now, if the first trap is an issue for you, then you're probably at the wrong webinar. So I'm going to assume you're here because you're either saving and investing already, or you're about ready to get started and you're just looking for better ways and smarter ways to do it. So we can cross failure trap 1 off the list. Failure trap 3 would certainly seem to be one we can't control. And while we may not be able to control our mortality, we sure can control the financial impact of the unthinkable with life insurance. My message here is short and sweet. Life insurance is the only way we can know with certainty that our family's financial future will be secure, even if we're not here to finish the job ourselves. It's cheap, it's easy to get, have some, enough said. Where I want to spend the bulk of our time today is on failure trap 2, putting our money into things that can lose value. And in my view, there are only 3 ways we can lose money. We can invest in things that can and often do go down in principal value. We can invest in things that have fees and commissions and other costs associated with them. And we can invest in things that are subject to taxation. Now, I know many of you are saying that almost anything can go down in value, at least anything that's worth investing in. You're probably also saying that fees and commissions are just part of the deal, and that taxes, while they may be manageable, can't be avoided, not even in so-called tax-qualified plans like IRAs, 401ks, and others. Well, here's a news flash. Conventional wisdom is wrong once again. And I'm going to show you exactly how we can earn a very good return on our money without ever putting a nickel at risk in markets and investments that could go down in value. I'm going to show you that we can build wealth without dragging the tax man and his appetite for our money along for the ride. Now, you've probably never heard things that bold before, but it's true. And if it's true, you know instinctively what a huge difference it would have in your quest for wealth. How huge? Well, let's find out. Think of losses, fees, and taxes like the sandbags that hang from a hot air balloon. It's because of the sandbags that the balloon has to be so big. It has to hold enough hot air to overcome the weight of the sandbags, or it'll never get airborne. Because the mainstreamers tell us the sandbags are inevitable, they spend most of their time talking about how good their offense is, how much of a return they can generate. In other words, the size of their balloon and how good they are at blowing it up. But if we could cut the sandbags away, if we didn't have to deal with losses, fees, and taxes, our balloon would soar with much less air, much less offense, and that's what I want for you. I want your wealth account to soar by eliminating and neutralizing the impact of all three sandbags. So let's talk about the first sandbag for a minute, investment losses. Some of you may know the rule of 72. If we divide a growth rate into 72, it will tell us how long it takes to double our money. So if we invest money at 7.2% and divide that into 72, we know we'll double our money in 10 years. So if we put $1,000 into a wealth account and we grow it at 7.2%, we'd have exactly $2,000 10 years later. But when was the last time you remember 10 straight years of uninterrupted growth? If in just one of those years we experience a small 5% loss and all the other years maintain the 7.2% growth rate, we end up with $1,776 in our account, not $2,000. And that's more than 11% less money for us to spend on our retirement, to spend on our families, to give to charities, or to pass on to our heirs. Now that's a lot. But look what happens when we grow both columns by 7.2% for another 10 years. We know by the rule of 72 that both accounts will double again. So our $2,000 account will grow to $4,000, and our 1776 account will grow to $3,552. Guess what? We still have more than 11% less money in our account after 20 years. In fact, if both accounts continue to perform at the same rate after 20, 30, 40, even 50 years, we'll still end up with 11.4% less money just because of that one little loss we absorbed way back when. Now, there's two things we can learn from this simple illustration. First, principal losses are almost always more devastating than we believe they are. Think about it. Has anyone ever told you that a 5% setback will mean 11% less money at the finish line? The other thing we learn is that losses are not recoverable. Once we've taken that 11.4% hit, we can never make it up. It's gone forever. Economists call it the lost opportunity cost, and it's very real. Now, with sleight of hand, a magician creates an illusion by drawing attention away from where it should be. Mainstream financial wisdom wants us to focus not on the size and the permanence of our losses, but on how our account balance recovers. Look over here, they'll say. If we start out with 1,000 and we grow it to 1776 in 10 years and to 3552 in 20 years and so on, we've done pretty well. Well, they're right. But lost in their analysis is the undeniable fact that no matter what, we'll have 11.4% less money in the future because of that little tiny innocuous loss we suffered way back when. Now, how many times in your investing lifetime has a market or an individual investment robbed you of 5% or worse? And while the $448 difference between $4,000 and $3,552 may not seem too bad, add a few zeros and think about the lifestyle impact. It's downright nauseating. Losses are always more devastating than we'd believe, and they can never be recovered. I'll bet you'd agree that this is important information to know when considering investment alternatives, yet it's probably information you've never heard before. Let's move on to the second sandbag, investing fees and commissions. This may seem the smallest of the sandbags until we really begin to look at it. The truth is, few of us know exactly what we pay in fees and commissions. Some fees and commissions are easy to see, others are hidden and obscured, especially in mutual funds. The problem is so bad, in fact, that new federal legislation goes into effect this year that'll force the disclosure of all fees and commissions, and the mainstream financial services industry is bracing for impact. To make my point about fees and commissions, let's say you start saving, $500 a month at age 30 and continue to age 65, 35 years of wealth building. Let's say you have a great broker or investment advisor who helps you earn 10% on your money for each of those 35 years. And for that help, takes just a small 1.5% in annual fees and commissions. What do you think you will have paid him or her by the time you reach age 65? The answer will astound you. It's just shy of $200,000. But that's not even the whole picture. If you hadn't paid those fees and they had been left to grow with the rest of your money, those fees would have turned into an extra $600,000 in your account. That's right, without fees, you would have had $1.8 million at retirement. After fees, however, you'll have just $1.2 million. Now, my guess is that if your present broker or advisor told you that their fees would consume a full 1/3 of what your account would grow to without them, the conversation to hire them might have been much different in the first place. That's $600,000 you can't spend, give away, or pass on. It's gone. And while I hate to rain on the parade anymore, the fact is 1.5% in investment fees and commissions is pretty tame. The total of fees in a 401k plan, for example, can be twice that much, even more. Even the Department of Labor weighs in on the subject. On their website, they warn investors that a 1% difference in investment fees can mean 28% less money at retirement. Think about that, 28% less. Now, unfortunately, the impact of fees pales in comparison to the ravages of taxes, our third sandbag. So if we go back to our same account where we grew $500 a month into $1.8 million over 35 years, then take out a tax on the growth at just 25%, our account free falls from $1.8 million to just $1 million. And it doesn't matter whether you invest after-tax dollars or pre-tax dollars through a qualified plan like an IRA, a 401k, or others. You're dragging the tax man along with you for the ride. He's a silent partner in your wealth building journey. He adds no value, but his presence means that the balance on your statement is not your money. A big chunk of it belongs to him, and the better you do, the better he does. What's worse, I've just used a 25% tax rate in my example. And do you think taxes are likely to be higher or lower when you reach retirement? I've not met anyone who thinks they'll be lower. So as depressing as an $800,000 tax bill might seem, it could be much, much worse. And by the way, be sure to spend what you have in your lifetime, because estate taxes and inheritance taxes will likely whack off a big chunk of anything you want to pass on. So let's summarize why I'm so focused on defense first, cutting the sandbags loose. We already know that if we invest $500 a month from age 30 to 65 at 10%, we'll end up with $1.8 million if it weren't for losses, fees, and taxes. Now let's reconstruct the picture with the sandbags, since all three are likely to apply to most of us, and see what happens. First, let's interrupt our 35-year string of 10% annual growth with 2 years that break the 10% pattern. One where our account loses 5% and another where we lose 10%. Nothing dramatic, not like the 40% of 2008, just a little something to make a point. Next, let's pay our broker or advisor 1.5% in annual fees and commissions. Finally, we have to take care of our silent partner, Uncle Sam. And let's be optimistic and say he takes just 25% of the growth in our account after fees and commissions. Folks, hear this. Our account shrivels like a raisin from $1.8 million without the sandbags to just $600,000 with them. In other words, the mainstream proposition says you put up 100% of the money, you take 100% of the risk, and in exchange, you get to keep a third of what's left over for yourself. That's 2/3 for the market, the broker, and the tax man, and 1/3 for you. And frankly, that's based on some pretty conservative assumptions. Just 2 years in 35 that are down, just 1.5% in investing fees and commissions, and a tax rate of just 25%. Is that what you want? Is that what you bargained for? A third of the leftover, assuming there is any? I know no one has ever showed you reality like this before. Not your parents, not your investment advisors or stockbrokers, your accountants, not your professors, not the Wall Street Journal or whatever other periodicals you may read, and certainly not Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, or Jim Cramer. Yet this isn't just important to know, it's mission critical. Does it make you mad? And if so, what are you going to do about it, starting right now? Well, here's the good news. There is another way. There's a way to jettison the sandbags forever so you can build a real fortune. A way that lets you sleep at night knowing that no matter what's happening in the markets, your account is on a steady ascent upwards because it doesn't have to overcome the drag of the sandbags. A way where the impact of investing fees and commissions is neutralized. A way that doesn't saddle you with a silent partner who adds nothing and takes whatever share he feels like. This simple chart captures what you and I really want. We call it the 5 money needs. The things all of us want our money to do and to be. There's nothing missing from the 5 money needs. If we had them all, we couldn't help but be financially successful. And there's nothing on the list that's disposable or unimportant to any of us. We all want our money to grow, not shrink. We want our money to be safe from unpredictable markets, badly run organizations, and other factors we can neither know or control. We want our money at some point in life to provide us an income, hopefully an inexhaustible one, no matter how long we live. We want adequate liquidity so we can get at our money when we need to or want to, without penalty. And we want to build our wealth as tax efficiently as possible. The world of conventional financial wisdom tells us that we can't have all 5 money needs at the same time. We may be able to get 2 or 3, but never all 5. In fact, the mainstreamers will tell us that the more we demand of one of the needs, the less we get of another. Want big returns? You have to put your money at risk in the stock market. Want a higher interest rate on your CDs? Lock up your money longer and give up liquidity. In our next webinar, we'll show you the Fortune Builder Wealth Plan. You'll see how it delivers all 5 of the money needs at the same time, and it delivers a quantity of each I believe you'll find absolutely compelling. We'll also show you a plan put into motion by one of our clients, Lynn, and what she has to look forward to in her Fortune Builder Wealth Plan. But learning more about the plan is up to you. We know the opponent. And if you want to see the solution to investment losses, fees, and taxes, if you want to begin to really build a meaningful personal fortune that fulfills all 5 of the money needs, then click the button on your screen that best represents you. A business owner or an entrepreneur? A wage-earning employee with access to a qualified plan? Or perhaps you're someone who has money locked away in a qualified plan already and are starting to wonder if that was such a good idea in the first place. We'll instantly email you a link for our Solutions webinar. If you thought this 20 minutes was enlightening, albeit a little depressing, wait till you see how the Fortune Builder Wealth Plan really works. On the other hand, if you think you're better off sticking with what you're doing now, we'll be sending you by email the 5 money needs. Take it to your broker or investment advisor and demand that they fill your investment portfolio with things that meet all 5 of the money needs at the same time. If they can't, you'll know where to find us. If they can, well, maybe you are better off where you are. But they won't because they can't. Either way, there's a whole new world out there for the taking. and I believe with all my heart that your fortune awaits you there. Will you take the next step to discovering it? Thanks for listening. Now go out and build a fortune.